I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a multi-million-dollar settlement between the National Football League and injured players. Also ahead, fast food workers rally for better pay. They say minimum wage is not enough to live on.
I'm Peggy Pico. Joining us tonight, Congressman Juan Vargas, representative for San Diego's 51st District, an update from his first year in Congress. And we talk with CalFire's chief about a controversial wildfire prevention plan to clear vegetation from millions of acres in California.
Should the state ban those plastic shopping bags? The debate comes to San Diego. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. There's a $765 million settlement deal tonight between the NFL and former players who say they got brain injuries in the game. The league was sued by more than 4,500 former players and the family of former Charger Junior Seau, who committed suicide last year. An autopsy showed he suffered a brain disease linked to repeated blows to the head. The settlement includes money for medical exams and for research into brain injuries. There's also compensation. The NFL does not admit any wrongdoing, but the league says Commissioner Roger Goodell wanted to do the right thing for players. The settlement is still tentative and needs final approval. The Seau family hasn't commented on the deal yet. For the person pouring your Frosty or wrapping your Egg McMuffin, many say their hourly wage is too little to live on. And today, fast food workers across the country rallied for better pay. KPBS reporter Taryn Mento brings us the story of one of them.
Dressed in her maroon Wendy's shirt, Deborah Flores got to work early today and joined dozens of activists rallying in front of her place of employment.
Right now I'm nervous because my boss is watching me, so.
The demonstration is part of a national call for higher wages.
Right now we get minimum wage, so $8 an hour.
The young mother of a 2-year-old daughter said she works part-time at the fast food chain to earn roughly $500 per month, and that's before taxes. To pay all of her bills, she works the overnight shift at a second job and sometimes relies on financial assistance from her mother. But according to Claire Crawford from the Center on Policy Initiatives, that's still not enough.
If you're a single parent with one child, you need to earn between $21 and $26 an hour in order to afford the basic cost of living here in San Diego.
By her own estimations, Flores said she makes roughly a quarter of what data show is needed to support her and her child. San Diego City Councilman David Alvarez said this is wrong and it needs to be corrected.
It's time for us to do what's right for all people, to give them some justice for the work that they do.
The rally in downtown San Diego was part of a 35-city grassroots campaign to put pressure on employers to increase wages. A representative from Wendy's did not return requests for comment. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
Today, a federal appeals court upheld California's ban on gay conversion therapy for minors. Supporters say it can turn gay minors straight. Critics say it's unethical and doesn't work. A San Diego pastor and therapist is part of a group suing to get the law thrown out. They say it violates their freedom of speech. They plan to appeal today's ruling. Well, the federal government has updated its policy on marijuana enforcement. It won't sue Colorado or Washington state for legalizing pot, and it won't stand in the way of medical marijuana, as long as there are laws to control it. A memo to U.S. attorneys outlines 8 priorities for enforcing marijuana laws. Let's take a look at some of them. Keeping pot away from minors, making sure criminals don't make money from it, keeping it from being grown on federal land, and preventing pot smokers from driving. San Diego Mayor Bob Filner steps down tomorrow, and 13 people have already filed papers to run in a special election to replace him. Nathan Fletcher is the most well-known of the candidates so far. Today, he picked up endorsements from 2 city unions. Former councilman and one-time mayoral candidate Carl DeMaio will announce his plans on Tuesday. Currently, he's running for Congress in the 52nd District. While Congress is on recess, KPBS has invited each of San Diego's congressional delegation to join us for a conversation about issues affecting our community. Tonight, Peggy Pico talks with Congressman Juan Vargas.
Congressman Juan Vargas is the first Latino to represent San Diego's 51st congressional district, covering parts of San Diego County, south to Chula Vista, into East County, along the U.S.-Mexico border, out to the Imperial Valley. Congressman Vargas, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Now, we're going to start with Syria. It's been in the news a lot lately, and the White House reports that Syria's government used chemical weapons against its own citizens. The president hasn't made a decision on what to do about this yet, but what are your concerns?
Well, if in fact that is the case, and right now we're gathering all the facts, and I do sit on Foreign Affairs, if Syria gassed its own people, there has to be a response, and the response has to be very serious in nature. So I suspect that we will have to act, and act in a way that sends us a very strong message.
Would you like to see a vote by Congress before any strikes against Syria occurs?
It depends on the level of strikes. So if we're going to get deeply involved, yes, I think there has to be authorization. However, if there are going to be strikes simply to take out their air defenses and knock out some of their planes so they can't deliver these type of weapons, and then no, I think the president has the ability to do this, and I think he should.
Moving closer to home, the Senate has passed the immigration reform bill in June. When do you think the House might vote on it?
Well, we're never going to vote on that bill, unfortunately, but we will vote on other bills, and right now my understanding is from the Republicans we're going to do partial bills. Hopefully they'll get to a conference committee, hopefully they'll get to some comprehensive deal, and they'll come back and we'll vote for that.
Do you think it has a better chance of passing if it is sort of split up a bit?
I think it has to be, unfortunately, up in the Assembly, in the Congress, because they said, the Republicans said that's the only way it'll pass, and I believe that's probably true.
Okay. A part of your district, Imperial Valley, has a very high unemployment rate at 24%. That's actually down from its all-time high of 30%. What's being done to help bring more jobs to the residents there?
One of the things that has brought it down has been the alternative energies, the solar farms that we've placed down there, the geothermal plants, as well as some of the big windmills. So these are the things that we're trying to promote, alternative forms of energy, renewable energy. These are good jobs for people, and of course it's a great byproduct, which is the energy that we need so we can wean ourselves off of Middle Eastern oil.
What do you want to tell the folks there? Are jobs actually, do you see sequestration sort of blocking that, or do you see that jobs are going to continue to grow?
Well, jobs are going to continue to grow, no doubt about it, but sequestration is a problem. Sequestration is hurting, and it's hurting our economy. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I wish that the Republicans would understand that. Sequestration, it's a small cut in the budget, but it's a huge negative impact on our economy, which then doesn't allow us to get the taxes in that we need.
What about trade in Calexico and across the border? Is that helping in any way as far as jobs?
It is. One of the things that you do see is on the other side of the border, on the Mexican side, in Mexicali, there's a lot of trade going on right now. A lot of the jobs that left our region for China are actually coming back to both Mexicali and Tijuana. So it's a very positive things, but then they get bottlenecked at the border. We've got to do something about that. We've got to improve our border crossings, and that's where we should be spending this money, not to put a lot more of federal agents to try to protect the border. We got to fix those things.
Okay. I want to bring this a little bit closer to home. Our big news, of course, here in San Diego is the resignation of Mayor Bob Filner. What is your reaction to this?
Yeah. Well, Bob and I are not amigos. I mean, I ran against him 3 times for this position, so we haven't been friends. But I supported him in this last rate because he is a progressive Democrat, and I was hoping that he would make some very positive changes. And it's been a tragedy. I mean, to see and watch what happened. Everybody says, well, you Democrats knew. I didn't know. I would have used it against him. Believe me, this was an issue that I would have brought up, but I didn't know. And it's shocking. I mean, it's shocking to all of us. It's a huge black eye for this region. But we can go forward now. There's some great candidates. I love Nathan Fletcher, and I hope he goes all the way. So we got some good candidates out there.
I was going to ask if you might be endorsing someone,
Absolutely.
But that sounds like
Nathan
an endorsement
Fletcher.
to me. Well, Congressman Juan Vargas, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Some encouraging news tonight. California students posted their best performance yet on the high school exit exam. More than 95% of the class of 2013 passed the test. It measures competency in reading, writing, and math. Passing it is required for a high school diploma. A state lawmaker brought his fight against plastic shopping bags to San Diego earlier today. KPBS business and environment reporter Eric Anderson has the story.
Alex Padilla's district is in Los Angeles, but he's hoping to put a plastic bag ban in effect for the entire state.
There's nearly 13 billion single-use plastic bags that are distributed when we're shopping. That's nearly 400 bags for every man, woman, and child in the state of California. And according to our state experts, less than 3% of those bags are recycled.
If the bags are not available in stores, supporters say they won't end up out here in the environment. Legislative efforts to ban the bags have already failed twice, thanks in large part to a campaign bankroll by the American Chemistry Council that prompted nearly 80 municipalities to pass local bans, including Solana Beach in San Diego County. Sarah Paulson-Cheehey is with the California Grocers Association. She wants to eliminate that patchwork system.
It's tough for customers, it's tough for our members. You could literally have a store on one side of the street that is under a carry-out bag ordinance and a store on another side of the street is not. That confuses everybody.
A statewide ban would level the playing field. Clean water advocates say the time has come. Jill Witkowski is with Coast Keepers San Diego, and she says the cost is too high.
We've tolerated their impacts to marine life. We've tolerated the blight on our beaches, our roadsides, our parks, and our communities. Not anymore. There's no need to.
Padilla's plastic bag ban bill comes up for another vote in December.
Another positive report about San Diego's economy with an increase in the region's index of leading economic indicators for July. Now, the University of San Diego says the index is at its highest point since December 2007. Consumer confidence is up, and lots of building permits are getting pulled. Here's a look at how local stocks did on Wall Street today. Well, that fire near Yosemite National Park, one of the largest in state history, has now burned over 300 square miles. The rim fire isn't growing as quickly as before. It's about 30% contained now. Some worried tourists have canceled their plans to visit Yosemite over Labor Day weekend. And high school football games have been canceled near the border with Nevada, all because of the smoke. State fire officials are proposing a 30-year wildfire prevention plan that includes burning millions of acres throughout the state. Peggy Pico talks to CalFire's chief about the controversial plan.
The vegetation treatment plan includes prescribed burns, chopping down trees, shrubs, and using grazing animals and herbicides on 38 million acres of state and federal land over the next 3 decades, all in hopes of preventing and reducing wildfires. Here with more on the issue is CalFire Chief Tom Porter. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
So massive fires like the rim fire burning now in Yosemite are stark reminders, of course, of the 2003-2007 wildfires here in San Diego. What's being done right now here in San Diego to prevent these large-scale fires in light of the Santa Ana season coming up?
Right, and what we're doing right now is just preparing for the season. So we have all of our firefighters trained. We're fully staffed. Though we have sent resources, engines, and firefighters to the rim fire, and they're fighting fire there, we will have them back at some time in the near future. And we also have a full complement of resources ready to go. Other things that we're doing is better utilizing the hundreds of cameras that have been placed out in the backcountry by the county and SDG&E on some of their power poles. As well as their weather stations that are well deployed all across the county.
You're working closely with them, I understand, SDG&E.
SDG&E, the county, UCSD, Forest Service, we're all partners.
Part of a team. Tell us about this 30-year wildfire prevention proposal called the Vegetation Treatment Plan. Tell us some highlights of that.
Well, it's important to understand that this plan is one piece of a systematic approach. We've already worked both at the state level and county level in particular on hardening structures through codes, building codes, through defensible space to reduce the threat of fire in that close proximity to the structure, and then land use planning to better plan for community protection. So those 3 elements are already in place. Now we need the 4th element, which is the landscape level treatment tool, to utilize where it is feasible, environmentally proper, and strategically in the right place.
Why do you think it's a good way to reduce wildfires in California, this sort of abatement plan, if you will?
Well, this is not so much an abatement plan because we're talking about 2% of that 30 million acres over a 10-year rolling time frame. So over a long period of time, we're not going to be able to treat enough acres to prevent large damaging fires. Large damaging fires are going to happen. These strategic landscape level treatments are important for us to be able to have that full systematic approach that I was mentioning.
In coming back to the rim fire in Yosemite, we don't know the cause, but theoretically, would a prescribed burn have helped in that situation?
I'm not familiar enough with exactly how that fire started, where it started, but it is quite possible. I have more direct knowledge of the cedar fire. The cedar fire would not have been prevented by a prescribed burn, but it might have been made access more possible for firefighters. There were 2 prescribed burns or series of prescribed burns east of Ramona that kept the cedar fire from blowing straight into downtown Ramona, and then on the backside of that same fire, there was a prescribed burn that kept the fire from going into Mount Laguna and Pine Valley.
Now, earlier I spoke with Rick Halsey, a biologist and director of the California Chaparral Institute, about why he opposes this plan. Here's what he had to say.
Sure, prescribed burns are useful resource tools in forests. Not all forests, but some. But in Southern California shrublands, there's too much fire on the landscape now. So adding more fire to the landscape like that is very detrimental in a lot of ways.
So he's talking about adding fire to the landscape already, but he's also talking about the difference in chaparral here in Southern California and Northern California. What is your response to that?
Well, it's important to know that chaparral is the most extensive land cover of fuel type of that kind in California. So there is chaparral throughout California. And this tool, though forests are definitely different. We plan our prescriptions to meet the environmental area that we're working in. So here in San Diego, we have forests, we have chaparral, we have
so you take that into
shrublands.
Account.
And we do take that into account, and we make sure to tailor our prescriptions to that vegetation type.
Are you working with critics of the plan to sort of reach some sort of compromise?
Yes, we are working with critics. I personally have been involved in 2 meetings in the last 2 months, one with the Board of Forestry, who is the governing body over regulations for CalFire at the state level. And then another meeting that CalFire had specifically with Rick Halsey and the scientists.
Okay, well, we look forward to the outcome of that. CalFire Chief Tom Porter, thanks so much.
Thank you, Patty.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. The latest on growing calls for international intervention in Syria. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
It's been a mixed bag in the weather department. The Weather Service has put out some watches and warnings for the county tonight. Along the coast, hazardous weather outlook. We might even see some thunderstorms. For the rest of the county, there's a flash flood watch up. Expect more muggy and hot conditions inland. There's a chance of thunderstorms for the mountains through the weekend, and the same for the desert, with a flash flood watch set to expire at about 10 tonight. Now, the Weather Service uses computers, satellites, and Doppler radar to tell us what to expect every day. A lot of very high-tech stuff, but in tonight's About San Diego, Ken Kramer found a place in Vista going low-tech to produce some beautiful work.
This is something you just don't see and hear anymore. And this is Bill Raffnell working it, creating something in a way that people nowadays find pretty unusual.
They come in here and they say, look at what you're doing. They hadn't ever seen anybody do that.
Do what exactly? This. There's an art to it, a pattern of movement.
It is relaxing. And in that relaxation, you eventually go in the rhythm of throwing the shuttle back and forth and beating with the loom.
The loom, Bill is without a doubt San Diego County's biggest fan of weaving. That's what he is. He's a weaver. He's using a loom, and anymore so few people seem to know what that is, what you make with a loom.
This is where your clothes are made. This is where our comforts and our sheets and everything else are made. These looms can do all of that.
When he says these looms, he means these looms. About 50 of them in a building in Vista on the grounds of the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum. 50 of them. How did that happen?
People would have looms that didn't know what to do with them, so they gave them to us. People would die.
Families say, what are we going to do with Grandma's loom? Oh, well, there's Bill Raffnell. There's this place I've heard of in Vista.
People don't know what to do with them, and we do.
You begin with yarn or thread, and a loom weaves it into cloth. If it weren't for looms, he says, we'd be running around naked or going out to kill bears for clothing. This is what civilized us, got us into shirts and pants and skirts and coats. Looms have been around for centuries. A couple of them here date from 150 years ago. As for Bill, he's making table runners and tablecloths and wall pieces today. Beautiful work that for him is a labor of love.
What a wonderful thing, because you have something to show for it toward the end of the day.
As the word has gotten out in San Diego, people keep bringing more looms in here. Well, that's okay.
And so they can come and learn how to use that equipment. Or they can give it to us and we will use it.
Bill is really something. He has so much enthusiasm for weaving. There's a plaque on the wall that says this whole weaving center in Vista, the whole place, is lovingly dedicated to him. And at 81 years old, he says all that motion, throwing the shuttle, using your feet, keeps you pretty healthy, too. So it's good for you, it preserves history, it's fun.
And the end result is you end up with something that's pretty.
I don't know if there's another place like this, but I doubt there's anybody quite like Bill. Who knew that he and the loom could be so much a story about San Diego?
And if you want to watch more of Ken's stories about San Diego, his half-hour show can be seen tonight right here on KPBS and every Thursday at 8. Recapping tonight's top stories, there's a $765 million settlement deal tonight between the NFL and former players who say they got brain injuries in the game. The league was sued by more than 4,500 former players and the family of former Charger Junior Seau, who committed suicide last year. Now, an autopsy showed he suffered a brain disease linked to repeated blows to the head. Fast food workers in San Diego joined a nationwide protest over wages today. The workers say they want the right to unionize and a pay raise up to $15 an hour. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Good night.